Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. But I'm going to entitle this lesson In the Mind. In the Mind. Something along those lines. But everything starts in the mind. The reason why people think what they think is because it originated from a thought, from a teaching, from a doctrine. And most people been indoctrinated and brainwashed when it was a child, and that indoctrination has carried over into their adulthood, dealing with doctrine, what they've been taught. And that's why the scripture, Romans 12:2, I'm going to go there. You know, when you come into the truth, you have to throw everything. I'm going to give you an analogy. They say you move into another state, right? And what people typically do, Salakia, is when they move to another state, because it's so strenuous to take everything with them, they leave a lot of that stuff behind, but they do pack some of that old baggage with them, right? So they got their favorite whatever. They favorite this, they favorite that they attach to, that they don't want to let go. So typically, they bring some of that old baggage with them, and that's madness. You know, I'm just using it as a metaphor. If you're supposed to be starting over from scratch, you have to leave all the baggage, all the things, and that's a metaphor for all the things you learn in Christianity or any other genre of religion or teaching, a doctrine. You have to start as an infant. You have to be reborn, but in a spiritual sense. And what happens a lot of times, especially the women, they bring a lot of that feminism and the ways of the world in the truth and try to mix it in to make it fit in to what they want it to be. And when it don't happen, they get disenchanted and they go back into the world. Right? So, you know, as a woman especially, you got to leave all that baggage and all that bullshit, you know, where you got it from, so to speak. Excuse my harshness, but you got to have a renewed way you think. Your mind has to be filtered through the scriptures of the Bible, and you men too. So to get into this Romans 12:2. So what you gonna understand as you go through these lessons and you learn more that the Bible is a cultural book. It's not what you think about in this modern sense of what you've been taught in Babylon. And what you people do a lot of times that's outside of the truth. You mix that garbage in with this pureness of the truth. Because you want to hold on to some things that you still attached to in the world, these false doctrines. For instance, you got some of these jakes that can't let go. They can't let go the hell demon. You know, they'll know they're Israelite. They'll know are accustomed to a certain degree, but they still believe in hell. Or you got some jakes, you know what I'm saying, that believe in an immaculate conception, right? They believe, you know, Mary did never have sex with Joseph, right? So you got all, you know, then you got it's endless. Then the Trinity doctrine, and it's endless with these doctrines. But you Jakes got to get your shit all the way right. Romans 12:2. It says, and be not conformed to this world. What world are we in? We're in the so-called white man Edom world. This is his laws. This is his system. This is his religious systems that he set up, right? That govern over you. But you're not supposed to conform to it. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you have to be reborn in the mind. What you start to understand as you learn more about the Bible, that this culture does not mix in with the Bible culture, our culture. It just is like oil and water. They don't mix. It says that ye may prove what is good, what that is good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. One of the first foundational things you have to understand when you wake up is the Most High true name, Yahweh, and the Son name, Yahweh Shai. Those other names that you've been given is poison. So let's go to this right here. Renewed mind meaning. It says a renewed mind, especially in a religious or spiritual context. This is spiritual and religious context I'm using this in. Refers to a transformation in how a person thinks, feels, and understands the world. It involves shifting from old, potentially harmful thought patterns to new ones that are aligned with a specific faith or belief system. And that's one of the shortcomings of our people because they don't fully understand this. Because what they try to do is try to fit what they learn in this system and try to make it fit into the Bible. It don't work that way. You trying to, make something fit that don't fit. The Bible is an ancient book, right? With the same, it's a cultural ancient book. And it's very alive and real because it talks about the past, the present, and the future. So this governs our life as long as we in the flesh. But our customs would be considered ancient in this modern world of Edomites because they are adversary. They do the opposite of what the Bible say. And that's what you follow. And that's really the construct of modern day Christianity. But our people don't know this because they're destroyed for lack of knowledge. Let's go here. So you have to be re-educated mentally. Everything starts in the mind. In the mind. Let's go here. Re-educated. It says, what does that mean? It says re-educated. It says educated train someone in order to change their beliefs or behavior. So you can know the truth, but you have to apply the truth as well. You can't just know the truth. And our women got this bad. They'll know the woman that does not teach, right? But they'll still do it anyway. And that's likened to being a witch, right? Or they'll drop their little 2 cents on what they think. We have to have order, and a woman is to remain humble, right? Because what Babylon has taught our women is for them to be disorderly, for them to be loud, for them to be aggressive, as a man would, right? And that's the road to destruction. So a woman's supposed to be meek, shamefaced, right? Shy in today's terminology. But women consider that as being weak because they're trying to play a role of a man. Everything is turned upside down. So let's go here. Let's get more into this lesson. So I was like this heavy, right? I had to do a lesson on this. It says images transmit doctrine without words. I'm going to read that again. It says images transmit doctrine without words. How is this done? So think about it in Sunday school when you was in, most of us went to that whole house called the Christian church, right? And we were showing a lot of images through television, through literature, through, literature books, same one and the same, billboards, magazines, commercials, propaganda. I call it all religious propaganda, religious paraphernalia. So all these things of so-called white Jesus and all these images of the Israelites being so-called white people has saturated the minds of our people. And that's what you call indoctrinating and brainwashing somebody, when you show them the same thing over and over and over again until they accept it as the truth. Yet it could be a lie though. But check this out. It says in number 5, it says in pre-literate societies, stained glass icons, murals were used to teach doctrine through emotion, not logic. That's the construct of the Christian church. They gave you so-called white Jesus, that infamous image that's plastered throughout the world, and they gave him a personality. They made him soft-spoken. They made him effeminate, very effeminate idol that they created. And that's why people think this. They think the Messiah was a so-called white man. They think he was soft-spoken. They think he was a nice guy. They think he looked like a goddamn beach boy. That's some hell of a indoctrination. But let's go here. Let me show you something real quick. I'm gonna show you how powerful that is. Right here. It says Christian imagery engineered for influence. It's heavy. It says Christian imagery engineered for influence. Christian art and iconography are deeply emotional, symbol rich, and often designed to invoke guilt, fear, awe, and submission. So they put that image of so-called white Jesus up for submission. So you can look at the so-called white man as your Lord. These images have shaped beliefs for centuries. That's why when we tell our people they the biblical Israelites, they can't believe it because they've been indoctrinated through these images. Images are more powerful than words because somebody cannot know how to read or write, but they can understand an image. It crosses all different languages. There's no language barrier with an image. So they had to have the image to indoctrinate you. And that same poison and that same sickness is still on most of our people's minds today. That's why they need healing through the teaching of this word. These images have shaped beliefs. That's your mother, your girlfriend, your baby mother, however you want to say it, your sister, your brother, your grandma, especially the older Jakes, your grandfather, your uncle, your auntie. They still see white Jesus in their head, so-called white Jesus. These images have shaped beliefs for centuries, even before most people could read. That's why he shows you this through the television in the school system with the images of so-called white Jesus and so-called church. Let's go here. Let's get more into this. Repetition and ubiquity. It says images of the cross, and that's a pagan. See, you Jakes all you crashing out in the mind. You can't get simple shit right. It's not a cross object. Ain't that's idolatry? You got the cross on your neck. You got it as earrings. You got it hanging from your mirror in the car. All that is idolatry. Images of the cross. They got. I'm just gonna read it as is. Jesus, Mary, and saints are placed everywhere, and they are everywhere you look. Homes, schools, hospitals, jewelry, even tattoos. A lot of Jakes had that so-called white Jesus tattooed on their body with that Cesare Borgia face out of their own ignorance. Why? Because they've been indoctrinated and they fucked up in the head. They're sick. It says right here, this normalizes the belief system visually, making doubt seem deviant. Visual saturation, belief reinforcement. So you keep seeing the same images, the same thing. That's why when we tell our people they're the Israelites and they're the greatest people on the face of the earth, they hate that message because they've been taught they're black people. And when you go into the definition black, it means void of light, void of knowledge, ugly, untrustworthy, evil, death, sin, sickness, as I went into the original definition of the word black. And that's why they named themselves white. Black is associated automatically with something negative. White is associated with something positive. That was done by design. All right. Black sheep of the family. All right. Black cat. All right. Black ball. Black ball somebody. On and on and on. When you inject the word black in front of something, it automatically makes the thing negative. Let's keep going. And this another one on you, Jake. This is a heavy demon. This hell and demonic art. So that's how Jake interpret this hell concept through the artwork. Tell me I'm lying. It says purpose, fear-based control. To put fear, that's how you control people. So that's why they gave you the hell narrative, so they can make you conform to Christianity and never leave, because you're always going to be in fear that you're going to go to this place that you've been taught. And they showed you an artwork to this place forever. That's folly. Right? It says repeated exposure creates a hardwired fear of disobedience. It says still echoed today in fundamentalist churches using imagery in sermons and media. This is how they brainwash you with the right here. The judgment showing graphic torture, demons dragging sinners to hell. So that's the whole control. For ain't no such thing as hell. We in hell on earth. Right? But we'll tell you, Jakes, that, but you've been so poisoned, you've been so brainwashed and indoctrinated, you can't shake out of it. This only for the elect of the nation Israel. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak, Kodash. Shalom.